Somebody always rises to the moment as a writer, and also in these segments is Nate Bauer, on3.com, Blue White Illustrated. I went to transition school. Welcome, sir.
Steve, I'm just trying to keep up with you. You know?
I went to transition school. How do you make that transition from one to the next? There we go.
I love it. I can't do it. We got the podcast now and the cold open. I can't do that. It's horrible.
Oh, all it takes is repetition. You'll be great. So, when you watched the third quarter on Saturday night, what ran through your mind and what notes did you take watching how Penn State played the third quarter Saturday night?
Yeah, well, certainly it was a carryover, right? The second quarter was the tapping at the floodgates, right? Minnesota's defense could not. They didn't have any answers, for what Penn State was doing, and I guess by the middle of the third quarter, it became clear that the answers that didn't exist in the first half were not coming to them.
Yeah.
There was no solution halftime adjustment for Minnesota to make, and so I saw a Penn State team that, look, we've been talking about it all year, right? Explosive pass plays have not happened for this Penn State offense, and Saturday they did. So, the stat I pulled was, I believe going into the game, Penn State had 5 explosive play passing touchdowns, and granted, one was a busted play on Saturday night, but they had 4 on Saturday night. So that was a major step that I thought, against an admittedly kind of hobbled, Minnesota team, but Penn State took it. They needed to take that step, and they did.
But not hobbled on defense.
No,
I mean that's their defense. That's their guys.
And having not faced anybody, right?
Right, exactly. And that goes now to another element. Sori Marin in the middle is a terrific run-down linebacker. What did getting the tight ends do? Not just to open things up, but get him off balance, because covering the pass is not his strong suit.
As I have come to understand, and look, I'm a novice out here, right? I'm just I let the pros do what they do, but the game is putting linebackers in conflict, right? It's that is what these offensive coordinators are trying to do. Is, generally speaking, defenders, but where you bludgeon people is by getting linebackers on their heels so that they aren't making quick decisions. They're not reading. They're not just filling gaps and making plays. And so, Penn State, went to the tight ends often and found the middle of the field. It was, it's kind of tough because you'll listen to James Franklin, and he says afterward, he insists, and I believe him when he says this, that it wasn't as though it was a massive point of emphasis, saying, whatever Minnesota does, we're going to pound this square peg into a round hole regardless. Right. It wasn't that. It was what Minnesota wasn't able to do. And so that's what, obviously Mike Yurcich and Penn State, credit to them for being able to recognize that and take advantage of it.
Well, Micah Shrewsbury is a great example of it, because Micah Shrewsbury will sit down at the tape and he'll go through with his team. When he's done with the tape, I said, I asked him one time, I said, what are you looking for when you're picking out matchups that you want to exploit? And he said, Steve, it just jumps out to you.
Yeah.
And he's right. Yeah, there's certain guys you look at and go, even I'll watch a tape with my novice eyes and go, okay, can't defend. And it was the same thing with this. You watch the Minnesota tape. And part of this is a product of their schedule, but Minnesota only given up. Everybody's talked about the 66% that they converted on third down. Yep. Well, they'd only given up 22% on third down all year, and Penn State was 5 of 11 Oh, by the way, it was 5 of its first 9 when the game was a game.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, it's all of the things that Penn State couldn't do at Michigan, Penn State needed to be able to do against Minnesota.
Yeah.
It was not. You're not talking about the same quality of opponent, but you are talking about the same plan, right? The same DNA of what those programs want to do to you on both sides of the ball, right? And so there was a little bit of needing to exercise some demons, I think, for Penn State, and those areas that they came up short in, they get into third and short situations and, unlike Michigan, convert them.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
They were able to do that on Saturday night. And on the other side of the ball, I was able to talk to Adisa Isaac after the game.
Yeah.
This isn't rocket science. They're just trying to get you into third and long.
Yep.
That's all Penn State's trying to do.
Yep.
They're trying to bottle you up on first and second down. They did that against an outstanding running back. But they were able to keep him in check. He wasn't able to rip off any 50-yard runs. And so, by keeping him to 2-3 yards a carry on first and second down, look, that was a Minnesota quarterback that just wasn't equipped to be able to handle that against Penn State secondary in third and long situations. And they were in third and long situations all night long,
right,
thanks in large part to 5 false start penalties,
right.
four of which happened on third downs.
Right, exactly. So one of the other elements that's important in this, and this is difficult to do, very difficult, especially in today's culture, because you live it. And that is, you have to somehow channel out any outside noise, because the one thing you don't want to do in any situation is overreact and panic.
Yep.
Now, you have to sit there and you have to read all, whatever it is you're reading. I'll get Ron Moeller will text me and say, "Hey, this is all," and I go, "Really? Okay." That's all. The Mole Man's kind of like my link to whatever you're doing. I'll read your articles. You, Sean, Ryan, I'll read the articles. Greg, T. Frank. Did I get the whole staff? I think I did.
That's the crew right there. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll read the articles because you guys are terrific writers, do a great job. But when it comes to the comments section, with all due respect, no. So what is it like on your end having to, because you have to react, I'm sure, to some of this along the way, pro and con. I'm sure that's part of the deal. Yeah. Especially when it comes to the quarterback.
Yeah.
Because, the first 3 series, okay, I got it. But he threw for 295 and 4 touchdowns after that. Sort of pretty good. A lot of people, I think, would live with that.
Yeah, I'm not a hot take guy. You know this, right?
I know.
Penn State fans at Beaver Stadium booed Sean Clifford when he was introduced in the pregame warm-ups as the starting quarterback.
I referred to it on the broadcast as a mixed reaction. So it's
okay, but not,
I know. But
you couldn't miss it.
Oh,
you couldn't miss it.
Yeah.
Was it a avalanche? No, but enough that you noticed it. And more important to me, Penn State players noticed it.
Yeah.
I'm going to preach for a second here, and stop me if I should, but it's embarrassing. Penn State fans who behaved that way before the game starts should be embarrassed for doing that, right? One, the kid is a great kid. He deserves better than that on the merits alone. But this is your home team, right? It is a weird vibe. Like I'm looking at this from 30,000 feet, and it is a weird vibe for Penn State football right now. I get that there are some fans frustrated. Look, the last 2 years are inescapable. Okay, it's all understood, and Sean Clifford's role in some of those results is understood. I get where that's coming from.
I know. Oh, no, I understand. I mean, every time he throws a ball, like, for example, he's run a screen and the screen's pulling up and he throws it into the dirt, everybody thinks it's his fault instead of saying it's really a smart play. It's like, he throws it in the dirt. Yes, because it's covered.
He's a flawed quarterback. It's fine. He's not some abject failure who is like people's perceptions at this point are so far removed from reality that it's difficult to sit there and digest, right? Because I don't have a rooting interest in this. I'm just sitting there watching it, and sure. I'm saying, hey, how do you not see what is being said and what is out there right now, right? Which is very simply, everyone understands that Drew Allar is going to be great. He's going to have a great career. He's not Drew is a
fabulous prospect. I mean, I get the privilege of seeing it every day. He is a fabulous prospect. Bo Perbula is a really good prospect too. I mean, I never want to leave him out of it. So I understand, like, the shiny object is very shiny. Okay, I got
very
it.
Shiny.
But
it's very shiny.
But I didn't mean to cut you off. Please continue.
No, well, no. I mean, I'm echoing the same sentiment. It is there. Mike Yurcich talked about it last week. He had a interview with the media on Thursday.
Yep.
And it's not all that complicated. They have more answers for what defenses are going to do to them with Sean Clifford, just based on his experience alone. And you might be able to recognize, I can recognize it, everyone can recognize that physically Drew Allar has more physical talent. It's right. That's not up for debate. He's got a bigger arm. The way he passes the ball, all of those things, it's fine. It will be great for him in the future. And that future is coming very, very soon. Mm-hmm. But right now, today, Penn State is making an informed choice as a coaching staff as to who they believe gives them the best opportunity to win right now. And guess what? Saturday night, they won to improve to 6-1. Again, I understand the frustration of losing to Michigan. It's fine. People that are the amount of sentiment of people who believe it's not even worth showing up on Saturday. I fundamentally reject that. As college football programs, even 2-touchdown favorites lose games sometimes. And so to me, this is a compelling week of football. This is going to be a great game on Saturday. There's every reason to believe that it will be a competitive game. And so it's a strange place to be where you see 6-1, a team that, they stubbed their toe. They had a really bad game, did not play well out at Michigan, but they've got an opportunity Saturday to do something special, to do something that sets up these crazy possibilities that zero people, I keep hammering this home, zero people, including myself, projected Penn State to win 10 games, let alone 11 games this season. If they lose or win on Saturday, they still have every chance in the world as a football program to have an excellent season by Penn State standards, right? And so we're gonna see what happens. But it's just very it's very confounding seeing that frustration and disgruntledness kind of bubbling over. And in my opinion, being taken out on people who really don't deserve any of that frustration.
Well, as a person, Sean doesn't deserve it. Right? As a person, he doesn't. I will say this: when the coaches sit down in the conference room, I remember when Penn State started 2 walk-on linebackers one year, Ben Faddy and Williams. Okay, and they started the season with them, and people are complaining. I can't believe it. Do you think they sit down in a conference room and they say, you know what, let's start these two guys. I think it'll make the game more competitive. What do you think?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Or do you think they're making decisions like, okay, those are the best guys we have. I think we need to play them. I mean, like, what decision do you think is being, I'd like to play the game with one arm tied behind my back. Let's give it a shot. See how it goes. I think it'll be a lot more fun for everybody, including the fans. What do you think? Show of hands. Show of hands. Everybody in favor? I think that's great. Great idea. Let's do it.
Yep.
I said, or they sit down and say, what gives us the best chance to win based on who we have?
The storyline.
I always love that.
The line of thinking that I just adore right now is that James Franklin is incredibly stubborn. He's just the most stubborn guy in the world, refuses to get out of the way, right, et cetera, et cetera. But we're to also believe that because of the booing in the first quarter, he didn't double down. He was willing to, right? Like, all of the bad plays were called by James Franklin on Saturday, and all of the good plays were called by Mike Yurcich. It's like, what are we doing here, folks?
It's a kind of a,
what is happening?
Never really thought of it that way, Nate. I never really ran through my mind as I was watching it. I was like, all right, Jack, good news. All the James plays are out of the way.
Yep.
I never really thought. These are things that we don't think of up there. It's like, no.
You should feel fortunate to not be in that world in the middle of a game.
What do you think? I think was this. So in other words, the same coach that said, I think Nicholas Singleton's the best option to start at tailback as a freshman. The same coach who said, Manning, you're right. Let's go with Abdul Carter at linebacker this week as a freshman. That stubborn coach?
Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure we get the same stubborn coach here.
It's just some of it just defies.
I think it would be more entertaining if we start these guys. Let's do that. What do you think? I think it would just be a lot more fun. Maybe it'd be more exciting for the fans. Closer game. What do you think?
There are very front and center things that you can identify and point out, and the data backs it up. Reasons to be critical of James Franklin. Right? Like, it's there. You can have that conversation and say he hasn't been able in the past couple of years to get the program over the top. Quarterback development, roster maintenance. These are real things that you can actually have a pretty good dialogue about and say, oh, well, maybe this hasn't been good enough. Maybe this isn't where it needs to be. But some of this other, it's just like fabricating reasons to be upset when there's actual things that you could criticize and have a pretty good point about.
And believe me,
frustrating.
And these are things that he goes over in his own mind over and over again, because he's always talking to me about best practices. Got to be better here. Got to be better. He talks to me about this all the time. So sometimes guys in that spot, sometimes like their biggest critic is them.
Of course.
Right? Because he's trying to be the best he can be, and he's always trying to figure out, how can I be better? How can we be better? Right? That's his job all the time. So he's trying to, I'm perfect, everybody else no. Right? No, that's not how he goes about it. He's very, but maybe because people don't get a chance to talk to him like that. Like, he's always looking, all the time, what's best practice on everything, including maybe how he approaches things or something, or something they need to change, whatever. I mean, he's always looking at himself. People don't realize that. Always.
Always.
Because that's the kind of guy and leader he is. Huh?
Very much so.
Yeah.
And whether he has the answers all the time or not, it just kind of is what it is. But it's just like I said, it's a weird vibe right now, and I get some of the frustrations that Penn State fans have. I get some of it, but it's not. It's just look. Part of me wants to say, hey, enjoy this.
Yeah.
Enjoy this. 6-1 is like, it's pretty good by Penn State standards. You've been doing this for a long time. And there have been plenty of Penn State seasons, especially within the past 20 years, where they aren't 6-1.
Well, you know what? Every team gets to write its own book. All right? Every team gets to write its own chapters. Right? You just can't sit there, well, they did this last year. Well, I don't care. What does that matter?
Totally.
I got to let you go. I've eaten up too much of your time.
Thank you so much. I gotta write a little hoops update.
Yes, tomorrow's media day, as a matter of fact.
It's coming.
So, Jai and Mahaffey and all those guys, they're nice additions to this team.
Cam Winter.
Funk, corner pocket 3, baby.
There you go.
So, yeah. I like the preseasons look good to me, and I know they just had a double secret probation scrimmage over the weekend. That's why I was referred to that like nobody can know. I'm like, you sit there and go like everybody knows what happened.
Yeah.
He's like, and by the way, performed very well. All right, so we weren't supposed to say that? Okay. Thanks, Nate. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Always.
Thanks, pal.
Appreciate it.
See ya.